This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Monday, March 18th, 2024. I'm Alex Brown. Officials in Fort Wayne are getting ready to launch the city's first designated outdoor refreshment area, or DORA, in the downtown area. Once implemented, the DORA will allow patrons to take alcoholic drinks outside as long as they stay within the permitted boundaries.
Our downtown Fort Wayne is really becoming a vibrant kind of destination. And so as far as the growth and development that we're experiencing right now at really rapid, never before seen paces for us as a community, this comes at a really perfect time.
Downtown Fort Wayne Director of Marketing Preston Wallace says they hope to launch the DORA as early as this summer. The South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority is on the hunt for a new CEO. Our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana report the organization has hired a search firm to find a successor to David Uran, the former mayor of Crown Point who stepped down at the end of 2023 after less than 2 years in the role. A collection of recordings by Indiana musical artists valued at about $100,000, including original vinyl releases by John Mellencamp, Hoagie Carmichael, and Zero Boys, has been donated to the Indiana Music History Project. The collection of albums, CDs, and tapes, as well as Indiana concert posters and flyers, was owned by Rick Wilkerson, co-founder of the not-for-profit behind the preservation effort. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Whether it's a new hire or a noteworthy promotion, IIB's Bigwigs and New Gigs serves as a platform to promote your team. Our revamped offering includes being featured on both the newly redesigned newsletter and at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Subscribers to the Business News subscription save $10 off every listing. Plus, you can save $100 by bundling your submission to IIB with the Indianapolis Business Journal or the Indiana Lawyer. More at InsideIndianaBusiness.com.
Cities, towns, and other governments have long entered into sister city agreements meant to foster economic and cultural exchanges. But Indiana lawmakers this year slipped a new prohibition blocking locals from joining cooperative agreements with communities in 6 foreign adversary countries into a bill that originally dealt with property taxes.
Proponents maintain the ban is meant to be retroactive, but not everyone thinks it would invalidate the 20-plus existing agreements involving Hoosier municipalities. And it doesn't affect Indiana's own sister state agreement with Chinese province Zhejiang. The proposal was finalized and signed into law just over a month after the Washington Post detailed China's renewed focus on diplomacy with local U.S. leaders, featuring a trip former Carmel Mayor Jim Brainerd took to China. During that tour, Brainerd ratified a sister city agreement with Xinjiang. Security-conscious lawmakers applauded the ban. It occupies a scant 11 lines in the 112-page House Enrolled Act 1120, which now tackles state and local administrations. There are differing interpretations of what it will do, however. The language states that a local unit, a county, city, town, or township, can't enter into any kind of cooperative agreement with a prohibited person. It doesn't specifically ban units from maintaining or continuing such agreements. The prohibited person label includes local governments and educational institutions in 6 countries the U.S. Secretary of Commerce has designated foreign adversaries: China, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russia, and Venezuela. It takes effect July 1, like most Hoosier laws, but the ban is not explicitly retroactive, leaving unclear whether it would sever existing agreements on that day or simply block new ones. This is Gary Dick for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Brad Chambers, one of 6 candidates vying for the Republican nomination for Indiana governor, rolled out his economic development plan for the state this morning. Chambers, the former Indiana Secretary of Commerce and president of real estate developer Buckingham Companies, presented his Play to Win plan. He said the action items would lower taxes, support a variety of businesses and entrepreneurs, protect agriculture, and build the workforce, among other things. Much of the plan builds upon work Chambers did as head of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, such as aiming to match talent at Indiana's colleges and universities with growing industries like electric vehicles and semiconductor production. Overall, he said general wage growth in Indiana would provide benefits to all Hoosiers. You can connect to the full plan at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. In 3 weeks, part of Indiana will be ground zero for the total solar eclipse, and communities large and small are preparing for the increased attention and economic impact. In Vincennes, a room at the Hampton Inn is going for $7,000 for a minimum 4-day stay. Sarah Wolf is the eclipse director for the city.
We're not so small that we can't support a big crowd, and we're not so big that we can't pivot quickly if things need to change rapidly. So one of the coolest things about being where we're at and the size of community that we are is those kind of that kind of built-in flexibility. The other cool thing that I'm really proud of is that our local city and county government officials decided to hire somebody for this position, and to have that kind of support from the beginning, well over a year ago, has been really tremendously impactful, especially when I talk to other people who are, frantically trying to get something together for this thing in the last couple weeks.
Wolf says Vincennes will have the longest darkness in Indiana from the eclipse at 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Indiana State Department of Agriculture Director Don Lamb is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.